Morena, and good morning. Morena. Welcome to our council meeting for Thursday, the 31st of October. Halloween day, isn't it? Yes. This morning, I'm going to invite Frances, please, to open our meeting.
Thank you. This is a karakia that evokes calm, harmonious conditions for our meeting ahead, a pathway forward, and encourages respect and support for everybody around the table. So, me karakia tātou, kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana, hei huarahi mā tātou I te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou ia tātou katoa, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e.
Thank you, Frances. Apologies, we have none. We have a full team this morning, which is great. Confirmation of minutes. There's a recommendation on page 6. If I could have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Ford.
Your Worship, I move that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 17th of October 2024 be adopted as a true and correct record.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Quigley. Any discussion? Councillor Underwood.
With reference to the community committee updates by the liaison councillors, I'd like to move that a couple of, some salient points that have been omitted are included with my updates.
Thank you. And the key points that we're missing are?
With Huanui Community Committee, the chorus box artwork was a community committee driven project, and I believe that's important to include, and also that it was one of 12 selected from throughout the country to be included in the chorus annual calendar. I think also that's important to be included. It's going to be a good promotion for the district. And with Rongatia, the King's Service Medal, it's the Community Committee Chair, Lance Berry. I believe that's part of the reason why he got the King's Service Medal, for his chairmanship, lengthy chairmanship there, and also for his service to the community and the fire brigade, not just the fire brigade.
Thank you. Just let's Steph catch up. You're good? Thank you. Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you. Just regarding the gambling policy hearings, it's noted that page 14, that the person submitting from National Public Health Service was via Zoom. She was actually in the room, and it was the page 13 PG Services Andre who was on Zoom. So they've just
we've just got way. Okay. Thank you. All good, Steph? Thank you. Thank you. So with those suggested amendments, is our mover and seconder happy to amend the motion to include those?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So we have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. And as Steph said, we can go back to the recordings for those meetings to double check. Item 4, declaration of interest. Any topics on the agenda today that the team may wish to declare a potential conflict? None? Great, thank you. No public forum, but we do have under our representation grant recipient. Welcome, Leah. Come up and join us at the table. So Leah represented Manawatu in the under-14 basketball premier reps. So it was great to be able to support you, Leah, and look forward to you telling us a little bit about your experience.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Leah Buckby and I'm 13 years old. The Manawatu District Council sponsored me to attend the regional basketball competition held in Wellington, where I represented the Manawatu Under-14s Central Regional Premier League. I am really grateful that you sponsored me, otherwise I may not have been able to attend due to the high cost. I was one of 10 players in my team and there were 52 teams that were competing. We played 6 games and came 5th overall. One of my biggest challenges in the competition was learning resilience and developing myself and my skills to become a team player. One of my highlights was being the top scorer on our first game. Our biggest win was our last game against Gisborne, and the score was 84-48. My plans for the future is to continue playing basketball at a high level. Last weekend, I played for Balling Nemos at Hoop Nation, and we came first in our grade and brought home a trophy. What I learned in that tournament was to never give up. Thank you very much to my coach and all my sponsors.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah. So from what you've told us, your goal shoot or goal attack?
No, basketball.
Oh, basketball. Oh, wrong game. Oh, well, yeah, it's a ball. Yeah, it's a round ball. Yeah. Oh, that's right. And so in basketball, anyone can shoot a goal, right? So, well done. Yeah, well done. I won't put my foot in it again, say anything more. I'll open it up for any comments, questions, please. Councillor Underwood.
Did I hear right? There's 52 teams in the tournament
Yep,
and you came 5th.
yep.
So what was the structure, pool play and then quarterfinals and then, so how far
Yeah.
did you get into you got right into the quarterfinals then?
Yeah.
That's excellent. And for 52 teams and can you tell me where it was played? What stadium?
Oh,
Which
it was
town?
in Wellington.
That's all right. Not a problem. I can look it up.
No, it was round by the airport. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. So your future goals, yeah, no pun intended. So ideally, what would you like to do? Continue this, turn it into a career maybe, look for scholarships?
I want to keep playing basketball until I get really good so I get a scholarship for in America or something.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be able to support you in a small way, and we wish you all the best for the future and look forward to seeing your name out there. So thank you for coming today as well.
Thank you.
Well done.
Well done.
This is also a t-shirt with your guys' name on it.
Oh, awesome.
Well done.
That was her training top.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's very cool. Oh, well, you better wear that with pride.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay, we are on page 22, and this is the annual plan for next financial year timeline. So Amanda and David. Thank you. So the purpose of this is to take us through the timeline, just for us to be aware of what's coming up.
Good morning, Your Worship and councillors. Yes, it almost feels like the ink's just dried on the LTP, and here we are with the annual plan process. So this is a very quick presentation just to talk to you about high level how we're approaching the annual plan this year, and to take you through the key dates that council needs to know for it, as well as I'll very, very quickly mention the initiatives that we are putting up, but Amanda today in the workshop will go through those in more detail for you. Okay, so as you all know, we need to do an annual plan every year under Section 95 of the Local Government Act. It contains our budgets. It contains the projects that come out of the LTP year 2 for this one, but also any other initiatives that need to be put in there. And it helps you make integrated decision making, coordinate the resources of the local authority, and it also is a key accountability document, of course, to the community. In terms of the way that we're approaching it, it's slightly different maybe to what's happened in the past, and that's because it really follows quite closely to the long-term plan. So we're seeing this annual plan as being very much a slice of the LTP. It's year 2, and because of the proximity to the LTP being developed, we don't really think there's much that's going to change, fingers crossed. So it's a bit of a light touch in your plan. What that means is we've gone out to officers to ask them for initiative ideas on the assumption that they've been working with communities and they'll know of anything in the community that is significant enough to be put into this process, but we're not running a full community consultation process to get initiative ideas from the community this time around. So that was one of the key decisions that the executive team made. The other thing that we've always got on the top of our mind also is that we're in a period of fiscal constraint. We know this through the LTP discussions that we had. So again, when you look at the initiatives, the managements have had a good look at those, and we're putting up initiatives, 14 initiatives, but we've also considered quite a few more, and we've tried to keep that list as little as possible. And I guess that reflects that last point, which is, again, just focusing on the basics. And, we know the government is talking about back to basics. So again, that's just something that we will blend through the annual plan. You'll see it in the language when I write it, and also our approach to initiatives too is very much about that, focusing on the basics. Oopsie. And this is the timeline that's relevant for council. Alison, I corrected I had 2025 for a couple of those boxes when it should have been 2024 in your papers, but I've corrected that. So today I'm giving you, or Amanda will give you the early budget position, and we'll run through the initiatives in quite some detail at the workshop this afternoon. On the 21st of November, we'll be asking councillors to indicate support for initiatives so that we can include them in the kind of the final draft budget. On the 19th of December, that's quite a key date. That's when we'll ask councillors to confirm the initiatives that you would like to go into the annual plan. And that's when we'll make a decision about whether consultation is needed. At the moment, it's looking like we probably won't need consultation, but this is local government. We kind of don't know what comes out of left field sometimes. So that will be the decision when we decide whether we consult or not. We're aiming for a draft annual plan around about April 2025, although we'll make the decision in June, just so that when we sign off the annual plan, it has the most up-to-date information in it as possible. So that's the plan. If we do have a consultation period, it will run through February 2025. So that's the timing for consultation if needed. Oh yes, I will do that. I'll do the next slide. So as I said, there are 14 initiatives that we will work through in more detail later. So these are the initiatives. So they cover infrastructure, community and treasury. One of the things that we thought councillors might like to do is, if you remember during the long-term plan period around about December, we sent out all the initiatives that were on the table at that time and asked councillors to indicate whether they had a high level, a medium level, a low level of support for those initiatives, or in actual fact, if they didn't support them at all. And we thought that would be a useful exercise to repeat over the next couple of weeks with councillors. It gives us, if you remember the way we did it, we kind of assign a score to high, medium, low, and no support. No support's actually a subtraction from the score. And it just is a very nice way of quickly getting a group view of which initiatives are seen as the highest priority and which ones aren't. So we thought we might repeat that if the council wants to do that.
Thank you. Just a comment on that. I think that's a really good step to do, like we did last time. Although, as we know, there's always benefit of having the opportunity together, face to face, to talk about those, because people know bits of information, more about that, which helps you make a more informed decision. So you may initially say no, but when you hear the pros and cons around the table, you may shift your support or not.
Yeah.
And so I think it's still worth having that opportunity.
Oh, definitely. So the first bite of that cherry is today with the workshop, because that's when you'll read through, and I'm sure Hamish and Amanda and Lynn will work through the initiatives that we've put up to you. You'll see that we've actually put in, as part of your pack, a short case for each one that was responding to feedback we received throughout the RTP that councillors wanted a little bit more kind of information, still summarised, but a little bit more depth. So we've done that this time. And on the 21st, that's when there'll be another significant discussion around each of the initiatives too. Today, in the workshop, it's very much about councillors just getting their heads around those initiatives and asking for any further information you need in terms of coming to your view on the 21st of November about your early support or not for those initiatives.
It's non-binding.
So
The poll is non-binding. It's just an individual indication of your first initial thoughts. You can then completely override it when you make your final decision.
Thank you. Councillor Belsky. Can you use your microphone, please?
The Hamish, really, on the annual plan in there. Hamish, I was at the
If you're talking
farmers
about,
market, and a farmers market, and a lady came up and said there's been 2 water leaks in her street that are quite bad. So one was fixed, it took a while, and the other one was fixed promptly. But coming down this morning, up Kimbolton Road, before you get to the garage, before you get to North Street, there's a whole lot of water running down the road, on the side of the road. And I'm just wondering about our underwater piping around our town. Is it been monitored, or have you got a plan to renew pipes or anything?
Councillor, can we take that conversation offline?
Oh, sorry, I
Yep.
thought it was to do with planning our 10-year plan.
No,
I mean, annual plan.
No, this is just an overview of what we're going to be doing for the annual plan.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
that's a really, what you're talking about is a really good one to hold till we get to ask the exec today.
Okay, I thank you.
Anything further? No, Councillor Underwood.
In the council timeline, on February 2025, the consultation period, if required, that's if it varies greatly from the year 1 of the long-term plan. Is that correct?
that's right. So as you remember, we look at whether our significance and engagement policy is triggered by any of the initiatives, and that could be either because of public interest in the initiative or the financial impact of that. At the moment, it's looking like consultation is probably unlikely, but who knows, things can come out of the woodwork sometimes. So we'll make that ultimate decision on the 19th of December of whether we go out to consult or not.
And I notice also approval of DCs in the middle there. That's the development contributions. Because that's been consulted on separately, the outcome of that would not be something that would trigger consultation?
No, not. That's the advice from the lawyers. So as long as we, and you'll see it's up live now, so we're consulting on DCs at the moment, using a Section 82 consultation process. If we, because we're doing that, we don't then have to reconsult as part of the annual plan. One of the things we might have to do in the annual plan, though, is there will be some inconsistencies with what's in the long-term plan. But as long as we note those inconsistencies in the annual plan over the next couple of years, that is fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, we've got 14 items there that might add to the rates increase, if you like. I'll be looking for to see whether there's any opportunities for savings, and 2 things that I'd perhaps would be looking for, would find useful, not immediately, but just through the process. Interest rates are dropping. If we can have a look at perhaps the various effects on required rates increases at various interest rate levels. So I know it's a bit of speculating, but that would be helpful. And heard yesterday that insurance costs peaked last year and they're on the way down. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but if there was any information about that or any evidence that you might have or indication, that would also be helpful. But not asking for it now, just saying that as part of the process, that would help, particularly as you're trying to decide what things to add. Are there maybe some savings that we can look at? Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Appreciating we haven't even started the discussion yet about numbers and what's in and what's out. But I would like to note that the economy has changed quite a bit since we adopted the long-term plan. The CPI rate has dropped from 5.6 in September 23 to only 2.2 now. That's a substantial difference. We've got a proposed rate rise of something over 7%. So that was appropriate at the time when we had 5.6% inflation rate. If we go out now with a 7 point something percent rate increase and inflation is only 2%, we're going to look pretty bad. And my belief would be that would be completely unacceptable. So we've got a bit of work to do, unfortunately, with this annual plan. We can't just rubber stamp what we approved a year ago. We're going to need to do a bit of work. Just on the interest rate comment that Councillor Ford made, again, I note in September 23, the official cash rate was 5.5%, and now it's 4.75, and showing signs of dropping quite a bit below that. So that's at least a 1% drop in interest rates that we should expect to benefit from. And in our council's figures, that should equate to a saving of about $670,000 a year, which should equate to about 1.3% rate increase. So there you go. We've got 1.3% we can take off our 7% already without even starting. You can confirm if I'm right, Amanda. Well, I'll let you do the numbers, but it's a very high level. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not preempting anything. Well, I am preempting because, yeah, we're going to, unfortunately, I think we're going to have a bit more work to do than we expected to have.
Can I say?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Amanda.
No, absolutely not. You don't want any facts. No, okay, just leave it.
You can't run a good story.
So yeah, it's a great story, and you guys are yeah, you're on the ball, you know, and so are we. So yes, whenever you do an annual plan process, we don't pick up the year two and just go, whoa, that's it. We revisit all of our assumptions. So yes, the inflation, which we get from Burrell, so CPI is not quite the same basket of goods, and we've got a presentation on that in one of our next council meetings. We do update our assumptions based on the latest indices, and yes, they have changed, and there's a presentation coming up from that. Yes, we do update our interest rates based on the latest information out. We do have a lot of fixed term debt, so a direct impact of the moving interest rates don't actually affect us entirely, and that's about hedging our risk around that, and that's why we have those liability management bands in our policy to help hedge those risks. So yes, there is an interest rate saving. Our revaluations have been slightly less than we expected. So I am at this stage, we are working through those budgets, and we've got them. And I mean, it's hard because the Burrell indices came out last night or yesterday afternoon. So I was like, whoa, I'll update them so you have the latest information. And they went, no, take your time and get it right. So you will be getting an update on that. But at this stage, there's lots of ups and downs, and at the moment we're sitting where we were in the LTP, but that is in a presentation this afternoon. So I'll cover that a bit more in depth.
Thank you. Thanks, David.
Thank you very much.
So any final questions, although we will get the opportunity later today to go more details. So thank you. Thank you for the heads up. Moving on, no later items today, no recommendations from committees. We go to item 9. There are a few community committees who have met since we last had a council meeting, and I'm just going to invite the liaison councillors to only share with us any highlights from those minutes, which we can access online. So Colleton, Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you. Probably the most significant is a decision made around how to move the beautification planning for Colleton forward. So the committee has chosen to do quite an extensive plan using or in partnership with council staff. So that's a great move forward for us.
Excellent. Councillor Quarry, Hamatangi Beach.
Yeah, thank you. There's a couple of things. One is the build-up of sand on the driveway into the beach itself. That seems to be a constant problem. And I understand the council is going to clear it on the 1st of December, but there probably is a requirement to clear it more often than leading up to summer. The second, I believe that the introduction of the bus service for the rural communities, the areas south of Rongotia will have a greater affiliation with Palmerston than with Fielding. And if a day is allocated for a bus for that district, it would be advisable to give them the opportunity of choosing either Fielding or Palmerston in which to go to. Bearing in mind, you've got Hamatangi, you've got Tingi Moana, you've got Rongotia and Rangiotu. So there's quite a large catchment area that I believe would have a preference to go to Palmerston North. But once the service is up and running, then we can find out exactly the demand for that area.
Thank you. Councillor Ford, Kiwatia.
Yeah, we had a meeting last night. It was great. Janine and Helen were able to join us, which I know was appreciated by the committee. They're in good heart. A lot of discussion about upgrading the toilets in the hall. They've got a community event coming up on the 22nd of November. I know the chair, Paula, is looking forward to the seminar on applying for funding, which I think Janine and Helen are facilitating. And we finished with some Christmas cheer, which was very early, but it was very pleasant too. The one gripe, which will come up probably I think it's the next item, is that we look at the annual plan and we've got a Beaconsfield, but there's no Kiwatia. And Councillor Hadfield, I don't think there's a Glen Orua either. So they were grumpy and they were threatening to form a republic and move out of the Manawatu. No, they were very good humoured about it, but it's just one of those things that would be good to include the areas that at least we've got a community committee at.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Short, Tangi Moana.
Thank you. Tingi Moana met last week and the focus was on the updated Tingi Moana Civil Defence Community Response Plan. So Hamish, Hannah and Nick all attended. We had a really good turnout from the public. And we actually held the meeting at the school because the school is going to be the Civil Defence Centre for the village, where they demonstrated the radios and dropped off some other equipment. And we're having a big conversation around a generator. So I will discuss that when we talk about our annual plan items later on about community resilience. At this point in time, if the community was to take that on as a project themselves, it could be tens of thousands of dollars. Ministry of Education can't put any money towards it. And as you know, it's a high deprivation community. So I've been having some conversations with Hamish and I'll bring that up as part of our annual plan discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Youth Council, Councillor Blackmore.
I was not present at this meeting, but Councillor Bell covered for me and presented some stuff about being a young elected member. So Councillor Bell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Blackmore. I presented a PowerPoint on the Local Government New Zealand YEM conference and also spoke about sort of YEM representation in local government. And they had a lot of interest about what that looked like and the support that they could have if they entered our space. And then we also spoke about, I guess, the rangatahi movement at our youth council across our GNZ, Festival of the Future, Mayor's Task for Jobs, anything that was related to YEM.
Thank you. It's great to hear positive progress around the district with our various communities. So thank you for that. Item 10, Officers' Report. This is the adoption of our annual report from the previous financial year. Welcome, Debbie. Thank you for joining us today. And okay, hand it over to you, Amanda.
Good morning again. So yes, this is the adoption of the annual report. It's been a whole organisational team effort, as you'd expect, because it reports on the whole organisation's performance, both financially and from levels of service. This is the annual report for the previous LTP, so the measures and everything in this annual report are different to what we've just agreed in the LTP. Some of them are different, to be fair. The process to date is that it went through as a draft to Audit and Risk Committee and then came through to Council to adopt for audit. During that, we then had the audit process, which lasts probably around a month, to be fair. Feels like a year maybe, but yeah, we'll go with a month. And from there you get the final version here. After this version, though, it is going to go to a proofreader. We'll try and work that into the timelines next time, but it will go to a proofreader just to check particularly our macrons and that kind of stuff that we haven't really focused on to try and get the work through. That's why there, as part of the resolution, there is always that the CE can make minor adjustments, which is around that. The other thing that we also check is the page numbering, because when the audit opinion goes on in, sometimes it's 3 or 4 or 5 pages, and that changes the page numbering. So in a couple of places, if it references a page number, we also just have to recheck that based on the size of the opinion that goes in. But otherwise, the next step after that is that it will go on the website, and there's also a summary document that is formed. Mostly it's the front section of it. It's supposed to be the more readable version for the general public. That also gets audited. It's a pretty quick process because we don't stick anything new in it that's not already in the original document. And that also gets audited and then put on the website all within about a month. So it's a little bit of a process. And there is a communications plan around talking to the community about the good, the bad, and anything else. And the comms team will be leading that. There's a few changes that you will have noted in the report from when you saw the draft. The key one is around the revaluation of the assets that sits underneath our surplus deficit. So if you are a person that focuses on where our bottom line was as a surplus deficit, you kind of don't see that. It's the next line down. A couple of, or quite a few of our notes got updated, particularly around tax and assets. And there was a range of changes to our performance measures, which are listed. In fact, there was just a change yesterday as well. So in the report that you have at the moment says that the final result was 76.9%. It's 77.9%. One extra measure kind of got over the line. In the draft, we had also missed putting in 2 of our CCOs that were previously exempt, but during the year you unexempted them. I'm sure there's a better word than that. And that is Kitchener Park Trust and Fielding Civic Centre. So when you made the call that they are to do statement of intent, that triggers them to actually be brought into our financial statements. So we'd kind of completely missed that off our radar. I'll just hand over, unless you've got any specifics, I'll hand over to Debbie and then we can take any questions if you've got any.
I have a question. You just talked about the performance indicators. Originally, we had it 80% and now it's gone down to 77.9. And you're saying that's due to the changes in levels of service and water supply. Can you explain that?
That
please?
was, Gina, you might have more in-depth knowledge of that. Do you want to pass that down?
Hi.
That one is a result of the changes to the safe water supply. So at the time the draft went out, we were still waiting for the quality water assessors confirmation. So when they came back, quite a few of those measures, so it's specifically around the bacteria, had changed to not achieved.
Okay.
Different.
Thank you.
Is that the word, Hamish? Okay.
So you say they're different, but obviously not of concern, or? Thank you, Hamish.
Thank you. I'll speak to that. Thank you, Your Worship. So there's a lot of what I would call, and we've talked in years gone by, around technical non-compliances.
Yeah.
So this is where you have a SCADA data feed which drops out for a period of time, or a sample that was done on a 10-day cycle instead of a 9-day cycle. So with notwithstanding that it meets the non-compliance or not achieved test from Taumata Arawai as opposed to the other one, but it doesn't have any direct impact on our public health and the quality of the water supply. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's important to note that. Yep. Thank you. Any other questions, comments so far? Right. Thanks. Debbie.
Good morning, everyone. So it is always good to be at this point of the process, which is the completion after a lot of hard work from a lot of people within council. And it is a big document, as you'll appreciate, and it is two parts of it we give our opinion over. Well, we give opinion over quite a lot of parts because there's also disclosure it's required under the Local Government Act as well, and regulations. But the key things are the financials and then the non-financial, which is the service performance information, which is, what we've been talking about. And it's particularly important, I think, for local government to have the service performance information, because that's when a community person, a ratepayer, can engage a lot better with the outcomes rather than the financials. So our opinion, so we've got a clean opinion over the financial statements, which is a great outcome. So the opinion is that it presents fairly in all matters, materially correct. And then over the statement of non-financial performance, we do have a couple of limitations of scope. And one was the one that you'll be familiar with from previous years, which is the building and resource consents. I know a lot of work has been done around that, and potentially a solution has been identified. So that might drop off next year, but during the year that we're auditing, that was still an issue. There is a new one this year, and that is around the total number of complaints, and that covers the water, wastewater and stormwater. So there was a bit of a change in process during the year. DIA has issued some guidance around how to calculate or how to count the complaints. And so if an issue comes up and a request for service has been issued, then any subsequent calls about those should also be counted as a complaint. During the year, there was a bit of a change, and the subsequent calls weren't being recorded. So we can't form an opinion as to whether the number you've got in here is right or not. So it's a limitation of scope. So we've basically scoped those areas out. But happy to take any questions.
Thank
that
you.
might have.
Maybe I could ask Shane, our CE, building and resource consents, that's a shared service with the city.
Yes, it is, but the issue was around software that we have in-house. And over the last couple of years, there's been this conflict between two bits of software that we use. And so there was some inaccuracies around the dates of consents and that being recorded. That's now been resolved. So took a while, but the team's now resolved it, and they were able to resolve it in time for the IAN's audit for accreditation, which occurred a month or so ago. And IAN's have now accepted that the resolution meets the requirements, and the data that is now being recorded is accurate around those timelines. So that won't flow retrospectively but we are confident now that that's been sorted and that we won't have any issues with those dates moving forward. Also, the recording of those customer service requests, that's been remedied as well. So that was really around, as Debbie said, if someone rang in and said there is a water leak on this street and they logged it, and then somebody else rang in and said there was a water leak and it was the same one, they weren't logging it. They were just saying, well, it's already logged, so I won't worry about logging it. But those future, if you had 5 or 6 ring in about the same thing, you need to record all of them so that there's a record of all those complaints. So that's been remedied as well. So.
Great. Oh, well, that's really good to know that even though they've been identified since then, they've both been resolved. So thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Campbell.
Oh, yeah, just following on those comments, I was sitting here thinking the cost of compliance for all of this for us it concerns me, because we need to keep thousands of records, like recording customer complaints and water usage and on the direction of a government department. And possibly Debbie and your team are the only ones that really ever look at that information. I just wonder if there's any way we can reduce those compliance requirements. There's obviously, I don't know how many there are now, I've lost count, but there's several dozen, if not several hundred measures that we have to record.
Well, Debbie's team have to do what they have to do around the legislation that's in place. So that's...
Well, regulation. It's not legislation, it's regulation.
Well, it's both. But, you know, there is a lot of work going on, especially with Te Mataroa, around all of those water standards. There's a lot of stuff happening at DIA level. And the government's focus is to try and pull out a lot of this replication and duplication and non-useful processes. And, you know, there's been a lot of stuff announced recently in the building sector for argument's sake, you know, self-certification for builders, and heaven help us if that happens, but never mind. But, you know, we just really do have to wait for all of that to roll out. But, you know, the talk and that from the ministers, and Debbie can add, but everything I'm seeing is they're trying to strip out the government bureaucracy that sits in behind a lot of the things that we do. So.
Thank you. Councillor Ford. Oh, sorry, Debbie, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say that those regulations have been in place now for 10 years. So they have been around for a long time, and it is time for a review. And I'm part of our local government sector group, and have been having a talk with LGNZ, who are dealing with DIA to look at what can be stripped back.
As a result of your work, does you report back through Audit New Zealand to the government, and do you have any ability, do you believe, to change any of the bureaucracy?
So that is done through the Office of the Auditor General. Yeah. We do have a close relationship with the office. Mark Maloney is the Deputy Auditor General for local government, and so we feed back up through to them, and they do a lot of the liaison. Yep.
See what happens.
Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Yeah, thank you. A question, and then perhaps more just a suggestion for the future. Start with a question. Well, first of all, congratulations. I think it's a really good report. It's very thorough. It's really well presented. It's actually a very good read, in my opinion. Huge amounts of work's gone into it, and realistically, a very low readership. If we're honest. I acknowledge that there'll be a summary document that perhaps will get a greater readership. But my question is, do we have to do it as thoroughly? It's not a criticism. It's just, I just understand that this must take a huge amount of work to create. And there'll be rules about what has to be in there, but do we go above and beyond, is my question.
It's something we battled with. A couple of years ago, we stripped it out to be very, very basic. And Councillor Campbell actually said, We need to be telling our story. This is your story to the ratepayer about what you've done, what you've achieved, and how good you've done. Yep, it was you. It was you. You know, this is what you do for the $50 million kind of thing, and it's your story. So you do want it to read like a story and be your good news thing. There is sections in it that we probably don't need as much in. There's sections around some of the activity stuff that we've actually achieved, but without it, it becomes very much a statutory document, and then you get even less readers. But if you would like us to slim it out, we can definitely look through that for the next year.
It's a question, and I don't know what it costs. My second point is if members of the public do read it, and because Councillor Campbell has encouraged us to tell our story, which is, and it is a good story. That is the thing. It is actually a really good document. But to try and talk people, I know Councillor Quigley, he said how good it was last year. So
I don't remember that.
So I think that if members of the public do read it, they would probably be interested in page 199 or 229 of our document, which is elected members' responsibilities, because let's face it, they elect us and they sort of have expectations of what we should be doing. And my suggestion for the future, not this year, is that this just tells about which standing committees we're on. And I think that conveys a reasonably poor representation of the work of councillors. And so this might be pushing my own barrow or pushing collectively our own barrow. But if we're going to go to all this effort and tell our story, why don't we put another page in that adds such things as community committee liaison roles, marae liaison roles. We've got 6 focus groups membership, electoral college type membership, other committee membership, fielding and district promotion, civic centre trust liaison, mana whakahaere, fielding flood resilience governance group, health and safety, SYNCOS, YEM Te Manawatu, LGNZ Earthquake Committee, Youth Council, and those are just a few that just came to mind this morning when I was thinking about it. But I think it does tell the bigger picture about the sort of things that we do get involved in, because we're not a council that we don't do a heck of a lot through standing committees. Other councils do more through standing committees. We have perhaps a less formal structure, but I think it would be interesting for anyone that read it to at least see that, and particularly into that summary document. So it's a suggestion for the future.
We'll take that on board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, if there are anything further from Amanda, Debbie, Shane? No? Councillor Short.
Communication plan. It's always interesting that we go to all this work and then constantly members of the public, and particularly some of our groups, approach us and say the council's not transparent, we never know what they're doing, they hide everything. And you say, well, would you like to read the annual report? I mean, I don't know what people expect us to knock on their door individually and say, here's your copy. Is there in the plan something really easy and fun, perhaps, I don't know, on a Friday evening, put a post up on the Facebook page with some of the fun facts? I don't know. How many rubbish bags does the council pick up in a week and have 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, just to make it a bit more engaging for people? I mean, I'm not saying it'll be, mind blowing, but at least we can demonstrate that we're at that time of the year where we've adopted the annual report, and that, and then underneath you could have a link, and if you'd like to read the long version, here it is.
Yeah, I think I think we have done that previously, and I really like the summaries and the way the graphics have been done on page 8 and 9, and then there's a couple more later on. Page 11. There's some really good things there that could be pulled out, and like Councillor Short suggests, put those up because people are interested in those facts. Yeah, so good suggestion.
Yep.
Thank you, councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Point I've made frequently on other occasions is the literacy level which we publish stuff on. And I think, newspapers have sort of written for about a literacy age of about 12. I'm wondering if anybody can tell me what age level in terms of literacy content that this is written at.
No idea. Haven't really even thought about it, councillor.
Well, I think it's actually quite important, because if we actually think about the literacy level of people we wanted to read this, it actually does become quite relevant in my view.
Thank you. Right, so we have, so we're suggesting here that, are we suggesting that these are amended recommendations?
No, they're like that. Just need to move them as they are.
As we have in our paper on page 27? Or as seen on here? Report. Okay.
Yep, it's got there.
So the addition is with the chief executive approving any minor amendments.
Was it not
So
already there?
as they are on the screen.
Yeah, thank you. So there is a slight, councillor Ford.
If we're ready, I'll move.
Thank you.
I move that the council adopt the annual report for the year ending 30th of June 2024, with the chief executive approving any minor amendments, and that the council note that Audit New Zealand will issue a formal audit report with findings and recommendations, which will be presented to the Audit and Risk Committee on the 12th of December 2024.
Thank you. I'm happy to second that. Any further discussion? Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate all the work that's gone into this from the team and the audit team. As I always say with these, whenever we present these, it's a great opportunity to reflect on what we've done this year, and those major projects are all listed there, and I refer to the Mayor's and Chief Executive's report at the beginning of the thing. So yeah, look, it's a great effort, time to reflect, pat ourselves on the back for what we did achieve, and but particularly thank the team for the work. It is a big job, and including the audit team. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McFadden.
Thank you, Worship. I guess to sum it up, it's the end of the 100-metre race and the start of the new one, but very well done.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Right, so I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. And I'd also offer my thanks to everybody involved, but also congratulations on what together as Team NDC we achieved. So
Your
thank
Worship,
you.
can I just mention this was completely led by Jenna.
Well done,
The
Jenna.
process was completely led by Jenna. I don't think I had much to do with it at all, actually.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. Good to see you again.
That's forceful, wasn't it?
Okay, no late items, so we can go straight to item 12. And I will move that the public be excluded from the following parts of the proceedings of this meeting, namely the confirmation of minutes. To have a seconder, please, councillor Ford. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you.